Hello, James here. This is another session of QuickDraw. Here I have page 29 of the Raising Dragons graphic novel. I've penciled it, I've inked it, and now I'm going to color it. Here I have my computer, my tablet, and I'm ready to go. Alright, Manga Studio is my platform of choice. And if you notice here, I'm using the Polygon Lasso tool. Now, this is a selection tool, and basically, instead of drawing a square around your selection, by clicking on your mouse or your pen tablet, it creates a new point, and you can create point to point in a polygon fashion, as many sides as you want, to create a selection, which then I fill with a solid color. And that's pretty much it. It's a very simple stage in the process, but it is also kind of time consuming and finicky because it requires a lot of clicks. Notice here I use a selection for the circles of the eyes. Sometimes I go back and forth between using Polygon Lasso tool as well as just the standard marquee circle or square rectangle tool. Every selection has a unique color. I try to stay true to the final colors, though that can be easily changed with a simple click of the paint bucket fill tool. I also use the magic wand tool as well. For those who aren't familiar, the magic wand, when you click on a selection or an area, it expands the selection until the border reaches a different color or the end of the page. So if I use it to select the area that has not been colored yet, and then from there I make my selection of the different areas. So for instance, I can use the magic wand tool to select the whites in the eye, and then from there I can use the Polygon Lasso tool to cut out the rest and then fill in just the little section that I want without having to worry about selecting the area that I've already colored. Adobe Photoshop has Lasso tools, Polygon Lasso tool. Manga Studio is what I'm using here, but it works just the same. So whatever I'm doing here in Manga Studio, you can pretty much do in Adobe and many other Illustrator type programs as well. When I'm zoomed in real close like that, when I start the selection process with the Polygon tool, it doesn't end until you finish the selection, usually meaning you have to go back to the start where you started clicking and then finish and close the selection. When I'm real up close, sometimes I can't see the entire area that I want to select, so I use the hand tool, and I use that to move the entire canvas, kind of like a click and drag sort of method, and that enables me to keep my selection without having to lose it, and just move the screen up and down, left and right as I need to finish my selection. As you noticed, I very briefly am looking at previous images that I have of Billy and Bonnie, just kind of to use at a glance to get the right colors for the right areas. So, for instance, Billy's pants. They're not jeans, so I need to make them look like khakis with the light tan. Now, even the whites have to be colored. As you just saw, the pink background was showing all of the transparent areas. I know that by default the background is white, but it's not really there. So what I like to do is I like to fill in the white areas with the color white. That way when I select them for shading in the next step, I don't have to put shading over transparency. It'll be shading over a solid white color. I'm making a few adjustments here to my panels. This was just a minor little thing that I kind of forgot to do correctly the first time. With Manga Studio, when you create panels, any layer that you create, you apply settings, and I accidentally applied black and white settings. so I had to recreate the panels with colored settings. So here we are back to coloring Billy's shirt. I go back and forth with the eyedropper tool to select the colors that I've used previously. The eyedropper tool is very simple. You just click on it, click on any color on the canvas, and it'll just automatically copy that color into your palette so that you can use for your area. Consistency is very important. You know, I don't want to have to guess the colors every single time I fill them in. So, you know, once I do it right the first time, I go back to the original and I just take and pick that color every time I need it. Look at those pixels. Yeah, that's zoomed in quite heavily. These are very small drawings. Blown up, you can definitely see how pixely they are. But when you zoom out, it's just nothing but very thin, small lines. The characters are very small compared to the rest of the page. Even when they're small, I like to put as much detail as I can. So if you noticed, I colored Bonnie's wings entirely with one color, and then what I do is that I take the same polygon lasso tool and I cut out the selections that I don't want, and then whatever's remaining I then change with another color. That way I don't have to make the selection from scratch 2 times. I can use it the first one and then subtract from that. It makes it much easier and faster than having to select the different areas twice. So the nice thing about having all these areas colored is that I can change them whenever I want, like I mentioned with paint bucket fill tool. The mountainside, if you don't remember, I made it kind of blue. In the final version I adjusted it and I turned it a little more like an earthy tone. Fix up some of the line work too, just a little bit. Now with these bushes, I'm actually using the freehand lasso tool. Unlike the polygon selection tool, it doesn't require having to click, click, click. You actually just freehand with the mouse or your tablet and just draw the shape. For these bushes, I felt that they had a more organic feel to it, and sometimes with the polygon lasso tool, if you don't click enough, then you can see the edges of the selection, especially if you're trying to do curves and circles. You know, if you don't click enough, your circle will look like a hexagon or an octagon. So in order to get a more organic and natural feel, I just freehand it with the freehand lasso tool. But for large areas, it's very hard to do. It's very hard to keep within the line when using that tool. I'll be honest here that sometimes I draw my lines nice and thick and bold because it makes it easier to color in between. If you notice that when I select, the selection between one color and another color is right in the middle between the black line, underneath that layer. So the black rests on top, hiding the border between the two colors. And if you ever have a color bleeding into another area, it doesn't look very good. So in this scene, there's Billy Bannister, the main protagonist of The Raising Dragons, and the female protagonist, Bonnie Silver. She's the one with the dragon wings. Everyone calls her Dragon Girl. And in this scene, she just rescues Billy from the bad guys. She picks him up and takes him to the top of the mountain. And Billy, this is the first time that he sees Bonnie with her wings, and he's just amazed. She's a little self-conscious, but he thinks that they're amazing. He himself has dragon breath, so they find that they both have their dragon traits to relate. They have that in common. Now, for the sake of the clouds, I didn't make it too detailed. I just pretty much colored them one color. In the next stage, when I shade and add the shadows and lighting effects, I make the clouds much more detailed. But that's going to be another video for another day. Like my other time-lapse videos, this is sped up about 700%, which is about 7 times normal speed. This entire page, that took me about an hour and a half to fully color from start to finish. We're almost done here. This last panel really stands out because it bleeds past beyond the previous panels, as well as the page itself, right up to the edge. To have that popping out effect makes it really stand out. Drawing dragon wings is a little tough, I'll just tell you that. I don't really have a live model to work with. So I do my best. I know with most fantasy creatures there is a right and wrong way of doing it, like an encyclopedia of sorts. So it was helpful having references. But still, you know, different angles and positions. Like for instance, when Bonnie keeps her wings in her backpack folded, that's going to be a challenge, having to draw that. It must be uncomfortable for her, if you think about it. Alright, last clouds. And the sky. Finally, the mountain. Alright, that was pretty much it. And here we go, the finished page, flat colors. For some people, this would be enough. I personally do like my pages to be shaded, to have that effect, that, you know, depth and contrast and light and all that stuff. Thank you for watching this session of QuickDraw. If you enjoyed this, please watch my other time-lapse videos. I hope they are helpful and interesting for you. If they are, I'd love to read your comments. Please subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more videos including QuickDraw sessions, in-depth tutorials, and project updates. If you want to follow my work, please add me to your circles. You'll get up to date on my projects and my day-to-day life. To read my blog or to see my gallery of digital art, please visit my website at jamesartville.com. I'll see you there.